me for my voice, but I have never seen anything like it.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
Welcome to the podcast talking about the NL West. This is the last baseball podcast you're potentially going to get for a little bit. So hopefully we get a season. Hopefully this season starts relatively soon. If any baseball news comes up, you know we're going to tackle it. But this is the last preview podcast. So before we start, got to remind you, check out the 2000 All team. We do 83 through 1. We've been going through that all week. Today we did 52 through 36. A couple Hall of Famers, a couple of cool stories in there, so you want to check that out. Also, talking a little bit more about Cam Newton. He gets released by the Carolina Panthers yesterday. What does that mean for the Panthers? What does that mean for the NFL? That podcast is also out, so check those out. All right, let's talk about the NL West. The NL West has the best team in the National League. I don't think that is much of a debate in the Los Angeles Dodgers. I think that when you look at the rest of the division, however, there's a couple teams that might surprise you. So we're going to go through it in alphabetical order, of course. Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1,800 to win the division. Colorado Rockies plus 1,300 or 3,500. Los Angeles Dodgers minus 900. The runaway favorite to win the division. Then you look at a team like the Padres plus 1,100. And the Giants are plus 5,500. So let's talk about the teams. So we start with the D-backs. The D-backs finished over 500 the past 3 seasons, but only have one playoff appearance to show for it. They traded Zach Greinke for 4 of the All-Star Astros' best prospects, but it's still unknown when they'll be ready to come up and make an impact. This is always dangerous when you trade your starting pitcher. Zach Greinke, of course, I love him for not only what he does off the field with his mental health, but also for what he does on the field, just being an excellent pitcher. You know, do I want him to be a New York Yankee? Of course. If you said to me after last season, who did I think would be best for the Yankees, I wouldn't have said Garrett Cole. I would have said Zach Greinke, because that's the type of player I think he is. Now, am I happy that we got Cole? Of course. Garrett Cole's the better pitcher, but I thought of the more likelihood to be a Yankee. I thought Greinke would be that guy. So they add the greatest postseason pitcher of all time. Speaking of pitching, they add the greatest postseason pitcher of all time, Madison Bumgarner, and it shows how serious the Arizona Diamondbacks are at making impact in the playoffs. The bullpen has some question marks. I like Archie Bradley as a closer. Christian Walker and Escobar are both responsible for producing runs. They don't have a ton of run support in this lineup, I don't think. David Peralta won a Gold Glove in the outfield. I think this team is division at the wild card. Okay, I think that they're not going to win the division, but as a wild card team, we've talked about this before with the National League, that the team that wins the wild card game has a better chance of winning the World Series than some of these division winners. So I think that if the Diamondbacks are in that conversation to go to the wild card, to be a wild card team, I think they could do it. Player to watch is Ketel Marte. It's a hard-hitting second baseman that could be moved to shortstop or center field if needed, according to scouts. His ability to hit anywhere between 30 and 40 home runs a year, and it could be a driving force to the Arizona Diamondbacks, making it out of the wild card and into the divisional round. So, player to watch is Marte. Let's moving on to the Colorado Rockies, who are in a really tough spot. My great aunt, big Colorado Rockies fan, moved to Denver from Minnesota, I want to say in the mid-90s, late 90s, engulfed in Denver sports. Loves the Broncos, loves the Rockies. I love her. She loves Nolan Arenado. He is unhappy in Colorado. He does not love Colorado, which should tell you all you need to know about where the franchise is right now. They have arguably the coolest jerseys in baseball outside the pinstripes. I love those purple jerseys, but they can't figure out the roster. The team is young and full of homegrown stars, but the lack of wins is troubling at this point. Their 5-year average is below 500, and they collapsed last season. That would make anybody nervous. The biggest question is the rotation and bullpen at 5.56 ERA last season. It's hard to win games when your ERA is above 3, let alone closer to 6. The pitching the franchise I'm most excited about is Chichi Gonzalez, the former first-rounder for the Rangers, who had Tommy John surgery in 2017. He's supposed to make an impact when the season starts. I want the Rockies to be good, but I just can't see them being that type of team. Talking about players to watch, Trevor Story is being called the most complete shortstop in the National League. This is coming after Tulowitzki was the best shortstop for the longest time, too, wearing that jersey. He's got a great arm, middle of the lineup threat you look for from a middle infielder. The Story is coming off back-to-back Silver Slugger Awards and back-to-back second-place finishes for the Golden Glove. He's a dog. He is a real dog. You talk about Trevor Story. All right, moving on to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And this is the team that I have the most grief with. This is the team I have the most beef with. Dave Roberts potentially could be the worst manager in baseball history. Okay, and that's saying something. 100 years of baseball, and I think Dave Roberts has cost his franchise more World Series than all those guys combined. At least when Francona makes questionable decisions for the Indians, he's got a World Series ring underneath his belt. Like, he's a championship coach. He makes a questionable decision. Nah, okay. That happens. Dave Roberts makes a questionable decision. Floodgates are open. I'm going to attack this guy. He's cost the Dodgers multiple World Series rings. The Astros scandal has affected this team almost more than any other team in the league. When you talk about the Astros scandal, cost them the ring in 2017, cost them the ring in 2018 when you talk about the Red Sox. This team could be a back-to-back champion if it wasn't for these cheaters in the American League. Also, cost the Yankees a couple World Series appearances. You can tell the players are pissed. Bellinger's pissed. Almost certainly changed the course of Clayton Kershaw's career. The Dodgers acquired one of the 5 best players in the league in Mookie Betts. I love Mookie Betts. They have a Cy Young Award winner in Walker Buehler. They have the ability to get some lineup and bullpen help with Blake Trenner. They're the favorites in the National League, and I think that they can get it done, but they got to get rid of Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts, I said this before the season got canceled. I said that if Dave Roberts is the manager for the Dodgers when the season starts, then I would be shocked, because that's the type of guy you want off of your roster. You don't want him as your general manager. You don't want him managing your team. Player to watch, Cody Bellinger. He's out for blood this season. You look at all the post games. You look at all of the locker room content. This guy is, we talk about a dog like Trevor Story. Cody Bellinger is a bear. That guy, he's one of the best players in baseball, but also he is out for blood this season because the Dodgers are the team that should be World Series champions, according to him. He's going to be the thing that gets him over the hump this year. And he's going to be in the same conversation as some of the other Dodger greats when his career is over. I can see it now. He has a chance to be the guy in LA baseball for the next decade. He now has an outfield friend in MVP Mookie Betts. This lineup is as good as it can get on paper. You don't play the games on paper, but hell yeah, it affects these teams, I think. They have the best lineup. They spend a ton of money, so they better be winning some games. Let's move on. The Nationals championship hurt the NL West the most. They beat the Dodgers to win it. They also had the Padres left, being the longest tenured team never to win a title. But the Padres also have something building in South Cali the last few years. They've officially gone back to the brown uniforms, something that I am a fan of, the Tony Gwynn uniforms. They got Manny Machado to bring fans to the ballpark. I've said before, guys, you need to have a franchise-selling guy. You get rid of Mookie Betts, he's selling in Fenway Park. Get rid of Aaron Judge, he's selling in Yankee Stadium. You bring in a guy like Manny Machado into Southern Cali, all of a sudden you got a guy who's going to sell out some teams, sell out some stadiums. They just need a reason for fans to keep coming back. They need to start winning some games. They had the best ballpark. Now they have a new manager in Jace Tigler. The pitching is good. It continues to be a problem in South Cali, but they have a lineup that should score some runs. I like Eric Hosmer to have a big season, 22 home runs, 99 RBIs last season. Player to watch is Fernando Tatis Jr., the highly aggressive leadoff batter. While that can be good, it also can hurt the guys behind him. If you don't get on base, you can't knock him in, especially if he's in a slump. He plays with good energy, the type of player you want to give 100%. Plus, he's only 21. You say, well, what is a 21-year-old really going to do? Well, a 22-year-old gives you content every single day. Jerks. So 21-year-old is pretty good. All right, a decade ago, the Giants, San Francisco Giants, were on their way to starting one of the best dynasties in professional sports. Now they're the bottom dwellers, the cellar dwellers. They're the guys who are stuck in the bottom, and they're going to have another tough season. Buster Posey is the last best player from that title team. He's on the last leg. He's dealt with a ton of injuries. He's a guy you're probably going to see play less and less games, fewer and fewer games behind the plate, more games playing in right field and at first base. The rotation isn't great, and everyday starters have something to be desired, with the majority of them being vets. You look at a guy like Madison Bumgarner, they couldn't get anything for him last season. The team has a new manager as they rebuild. To add insult to injury, former Giant Aubrey Huff has been acting a fool on social media. When I was doing my research for this, it was right when he was acting like a jerk on Twitter. He's still acting like a jerk on Twitter, so some things never change. He is retired and will not be provided back the 2010 title team anniversary that they're going to have this year. The Bay Area has had a little drought when it comes to professional success. Good thing they have the 49ers. I say that jokingly because the San Francisco 49ers, of course, playing in the Super Bowl. The Warriors were one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in professional basketball this year, and now the Giants are going to suck too. Buster Posey is the player to watch. He's the ultimate professional since he broke onto the scene. He's only 33, but the question is how much longer can he be around? How much more does he have in the tank? He's got the rings. He's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. He's playing in the National League, so he doesn't have the benefit of turning into a DH. He could end his career playing somewhere else, playing a DH role, but you got to appreciate the Giants' colors on him because of how good he has been. All right, so I've given you baseball content week in and week out, day after day, month after month. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is light a prayer candle that we can have a season, because it's looking more and more like the season is going to get pushed back to June or July. If that occurs, you're going to have a shortened season. I think that that's going to lead to more injuries. More injuries mean less good players on the field. Less good players on the field means less enjoyable baseball to watch. So if you are the type to light a prayer candle, you need to do that for the season. You also need to do it for our friend Brendan Snow, who is going through a couple of family. We had him on the podcast talk about the Rangers. He's going through a little bit of turbulence in his life right now, so if you can keep him in your thoughts, him and his family in your thoughts, that would be superb. So thank you again for listening to the podcast. Please continue to send the content everywhere. Tune in tomorrow when we talk even more sports, even more pop culture. It never ends. The cycle continues. Wash your hands. Be here tomorrow. I'll talk to you later.